So before we begin, I just want to give my thanks to God, Spirit, the universe, my spirit team, angels, ancestors, and also my spiritual guides who have been mentoring me through this process. I appreciate you so much. So yesterday we left off talking about inner child wound healing and how to reparent your inner child. So today, I mean, we kind of briefly touched on it, but it was mostly focused on shadow work yesterday. So today I'm going to dive a bit deeper into inner child healing. And as always, the way I'm going to do it is by using my own experience, sharing my experience, and using that as an example so that you can also do the same. So I'm going to start with I started doing inner child wound healing after my last therapy appointment, which was quite a while ago. It was with my somatic therapist, the new one that I found through Facebook. And she's been amazing. When my money situation became, difficult, I had to stop. But anyways, so she recommended that I imagine a mother for the child that, I want to talk you through the actual process that she went through with me. So during the appointment, she asked me, so it's about somatic therapy, right? So we were mostly talking about the emotional abuse by my mother in that appointment. And she was asking me where in my, how do I feel in my body when we talk about that emotional abuse? Because she sees that I'm talking about really painful things, but I'm laughing because that's how I cope. I kind of emotionally cut myself off most of the time. I'm so detached from those emotions because if I stay there all the time, they would just destroy me. Like I would be in tears all the time or angry all the time, and I don't want that. So I kind of cut. That's how I cope. Sort of, I laugh through the pain, kind of thing. But the thing is, because my mind isn't dealing with it, my body was. So what was happening was she asked me, okay, I can see that you're laughing while talking about really, really painful things, like the fact that your mother basically made you feel from when I was 5 years old that, told me as you, so your mother made you feel like you were less important to her than this adopted person that they brought into the family randomly. And this started when you were 5 years old. So since then, you always felt like you were the underdog in the family. And so she asked me to stop and close my eyes and just kind of feel my body. Like when I talk about it, how does it feel? And actually right now I can still feel that. I can feel it's less than it was, but I have this tension all across my shoulders, and like that time it was all the way down, and it was just like, and she told me like to just sit with it, focus on that tension. Like right now I have it a little bit here. It's not as bad because I've been doing this a lot, the somatic therapy, and I just basically focus on that and sit with it. Don't try to make it go away. Like, don't try to shake it out. This is what she's told me. Don't try to shake it out. Don't try to force it to go away. Just honor it. Honor that tightness. Focus in on it. You can do it with me if you resonate. You can do it now with me. I'm gonna give myself some time to do it now, because I do feel this tension when I'm talking, so I obviously need to do this. I don't know if you noticed this, but I just relax. My shoulders just relax now. They just have the normal tension that you have when you're sitting up. Like when you're sitting upright, which I always try, like I try not to slouch, but anyway, that's not relevant right now. But when I focused on it, it felt really tight, like really, like this energy, like this, how can I describe it? It's not like it's a little bit like a lactic acid burn, but it's so tense. It's like this. That's the feeling anyway, and it does burn a little bit like lactic acid. Like you know, after you exercise a lot and you feel that in your calves and stuff or wherever. And by focusing on it and just sitting with it, not trying to make it go away, just giving your mind, giving attention to it with your mind, it kind of relaxes. Those muscles relax because it realizes, because the unconscious tension relaxes, because when I talk about it, it comes there. But when I stop talking and just give it the attention it deserves, and I'm not talking about thinking about the trauma, I'm talking about thinking specifically about the body and the muscle tension that you're feeling, and it stops. I don't know if you noticed that slight change when my shoulders relaxed, but I could feel it definitely. I definitely feel it. The pain is gone now. And as I said, I just have the normal tension that you would have when you're just sitting. Wow, that was good. I needed that. So that's what you need to do if you feel that kind of tension in your body. You need to do it as often as you feel it, basically. Ignore it. Don't ignore it. Give it your attention. And that is something that a lot of people with complex PTSD or PTSD, there's a lot of it's not actually useful to do this, to examine the trauma itself, the traumatic memories itself. Especially the sexual trauma. Like I said, I don't have memories of it. I don't want those memories because there's a reason my mind blocked that memory from me. And you know, even without having the memory, just knowing that this was done to me put my entire being, my entire nervous system into such a state. This thing that was just here, when I started therapy with the somatic therapist, this was how my whole body felt. Entire body. And I was like ramrod, like I was sitting like, I don't know, I still remember that. I was just sitting like at such an attention, and she taught me this is how you deal with it. And it really works, because I used to deal with it by just like going for a walk, walking it out, shaking it out. But she said that's kind of, I'll tell you why, because that tension comes from your nervous system preparing for fight. Because your emotional response is triggering the fight or flight response. Your emotions are triggering the fight or flight response. And you kind of need to hold on. Yes, so and then by actually going out and walking around, I'm actually feeding my body, my mind, thinking that actually this is what I need to do. So it wasn't actually so helpful physical exercise is extremely helpful when you have your mind is kind of torturing you, you know, with the negative thinking, the intrusive thoughts, the self-blame, guilt, all those negative emotions. When your mind is really torturing you, it's really, really helpful to move your body, to exercise, go swimming, go running, go walk, whatever makes you, whatever your chosen method of exercise is, that dopamine is the best way to counteract your, if that's the problem, the mental problem, like if the problem is here. But when the problem is actually in your body, exercise does the opposite in that moment. Anyway, you need to exercise obviously, but in that moment what you actually need to do is your mind needs to heal the body. It's interesting, I hadn't thought of that. So basically, when your mind is the one having the problem, it's your body that heals it by walking around, by giving you a dopamine hit and clearing that out, sort of. It's like clearing that. But when your body is the one with the problem, your mind is the one that heals. It's about that trinity: mind, body, spirit, or soul, whatever. And the soul is just as important, maybe more important. I used to think the mind was the most important thing, but after going through everything I've gone through, I realized the soul is the most important. So soul, then mind, then body. But you need to get all of them in balance. So that's why practices like going for regular spending time regularly in nature, go to the ocean, immerse yourself in the ocean if you can, because salt water is such a cleanser. And if you can't go to the ocean, then take regular baths with Epsom salt. It's a really good way to cleanse any negativity from your spirit, and to reclaim your energy and just cleanse you. Do that regularly. Another thing is to meditate regularly. Like I said yesterday, whatever form that works for you. For me personally, sitting somewhere and doing the lotus position really doesn't work. I think best when I'm walking around. That's where my body helps my mind always. And that you may, you know, if you have similar problems with meditation, this may be the way to do it. You know, when you're at the gym, instead, this is actually advice that I've heard my dad give to his patients, which is when you go into the gym, when you're doing like exercises, when you're doing each, I don't know, I'm not very familiar with the gym, so this motion, let's say, with the weight, really focus on it, on the movement, you know, on whatever you're doing, instead of like putting headphones and listening to social media or whatever you usually do. For that hour that you're at the gym, that where you're actually nourishing your body, also take that opportunity to nourish your soul. Put some music on, or it depends. If you find it easier to think without music, for me music helps me think, but depends on you. And just focus your mind on the motion. Meditate in that time, instead of kind of distracting, being disconnected, because the whole point is to connect your mind, body and spirit here, because then you'll really be nourishing all of you. Right, so we talked about somatic therapy and inner child. Right, so the next thing she told me is, she asked me to do is to try and visualize my inner child. And even before this kind of session, I had actually done that. I had tried to visualize my inner child and I literally couldn't. You know, I focus, I close my eyes, and I kind of, this is the sort of like the solar plexus, your belly area, or you're just below, between the heart and the belly button. That's where I visualized my inner child to be. But it was like I couldn't see her. I couldn't see anything. It was like, no, like initially I couldn't see it. It was just white. And then the more I focused, the more it started to become the thick opaque white started to kind of clear a bit, and I started to see a glimpse of this person, this small child who was like this. She was completely curled up into a fetal position, and I couldn't even access her, you know? She was just completely closed off from the entire existence. That's how she was, because that's how she protected herself, because she has known nothing but abuse. So she just walled herself off. And yeah, that is metaphorical, obviously. That goes without saying. And when I did that, when I saw that, I was like, I just basically envisioned myself hugging her like this, like just hugging her, not trying to coax her or do anything, just holding her and telling her, you are safe now, it's over, no one's gonna hurt you anymore, you're safe. And very, very slowly she started waking up. Her limbs started to unfurl. She started lifting her head a bit, but she was like, it was almost like she was drugged. She was so deeply under her, you know, she was asleep basically. She was asleep for protection. And she just started loosening her body, like slowly coming out of it. And then I kept hugging her from one side as she sort of, because before it was like she was rolled up, so I was kind of holding all of her. And then as she loosened up, I was holding her from one side. And this is kind of hard for me to talk about, but at that time I still had very strong feelings for someone who I felt like I was going to spend my life with. And I envisioned that he was there, even though I was alone, obviously, but I envisioned he was there and that he was hugging my inner child from the front. So it was like I was her mother and he was her father, and we were both just holding her and telling her that you're safe, you have parents who love you, who are not going to abandon you, who are not going to abuse you anymore, we're not going to torture you anymore, you're safe. And that was powerful, because after that, gradually she started to become normal. She started to wake up, and she started to express her needs, like, you know, I want chocolate. And for a while I was basically indulging her, because I needed to show her that your needs are going to be met no matter what. So for a while I was just focusing on being a mother to my inner child, and I was holding her like this, which did make things a bit more difficult. And then I also had like my main ego, which is my little scrapper, the protective little sister, big sister, sorry, who to that inner child, the one with the chip on her shoulder, the one with walls up, like huge walls up, who didn't trust anyone, but also she was extremely, you know, avoidant with relationships. She was disconnected from her emotions. She was also a people pleaser. She shrunk herself to feel accepted, because she felt rejected wherever she went. So whenever someone showed her in a small amount of attention, she felt like, oh wow, this is everything, because she didn't know any better. So she would go from being extremely avoidant, from running away from emotions, to being extremely insecurely attached like this. It would be a flip of a switch once she feels like, okay, this person, I can trust this person. And then she becomes clingy, she becomes very insecure, and then even a small rejection from this person triggers her and makes her emotionally unstable. Like her emotions are up and down all the time, and very, very much tied to this other person. She has no self-love. She feels like she's dependent on this other person for emotional fulfillment. Yeah, that was the Siobhan most of you knew. Either the totally detached one, probably who had a resting bitch face, which I didn't realize. I wasn't trying to be resting bitch. I was just emotionally cut off, basically, and I was so afraid of being judged that I felt I just kept myself shielded all times. Or if you actually got into my close circle, you would have seen, sorry, I just remembered that with this person, I used to feel safe to be that inner child. Like that part of me used to come out, and that was, I think he was part of that. Was part of the reason my child was so closed off, because I think it was probably the first time that my inner child felt safe with someone else. She felt secure, and she didn't expect that to go wrong. So yeah, anyways, yeah, I just had that realization. See, laughing, it's okay, but I can't, I told you I can't cry in public, even though this isn't public, but it will be. I'm going to post this at some point, so okay, so that's where we left off with the inner child. Yes, so that's what I was saying. So yes, this my ego, she was extremely protective of the inner child as well, and that that was like, she was extremely protective, basically, but at the same time she self-abandoned in relationships, and that made the inner child, I think that caused some conflict. But there was some conflict between the inner child's need for security versus the people-pleasing tendencies that led to self-abandonment with the sort of ego self, and that caused lack of trust, yeah, between them. But now that's not an issue anymore, because both me as the mother and the older sister, the ego, both of us are committed to our inner child and making our inner child feel secure. We're united in that, and no one is allowed to be around us who threatens my inner child, and also no one is allowed around us who threatens my ego, my little scrapper, because she has needs too, and they're very important. I'm sorry, I know it's a bit weird to talk about these aspects of yourself in the third person, but this is how I cope, and it just makes it easier to talk about as well, and also it sort of gives hope that just because, I think of the abuse that happened to these two, and I'm healing that. So I'm getting out of the victim mentality there. You see what I'm saying? I'm not thinking of myself as a victim. I'm helping two victims. I'm rehabilitating them by reparenting reparenting them. And in that process, because we also lost trust in this person as the father, the one I had imagined as the father, I also needed to become the father to my children. And that was interesting, because through that process I realized I awaken the divine masculine within me, because that's the thing, there's divine masculine and divine feminine in all of us. And I've always been I always thought I was supposed to be in the divine feminine energy, but actually what I thought of as divine feminine energy wasn't, if that makes sense. So the mother was the divine feminine, that's the real divine feminine energy, and the father was the divine masculine, and I was always both in a way. I just didn't realize it. I thought that divine masculine had to come from someone else, but it doesn't. It comes from you, it comes from within you. And that was kind of a mind-blowing realization for me, because I realized actually within me I have my partner. I also have the father of my children, so my children have a father. So it's like within me there are all these different roles that I play. And this is something you can do as well. That's when you truly learn how to become complete within yourself. So you're not going into any relationship with a need for a partner or support. You are whole within yourself, and that sets you up for the right kind of partnership that will fulfill you on every single level in a way that you only imagined, the fairy tale, you know? So that's kind of how you come home to yourself. You come home and realize actually your soul tribe is within you. It's not outside of you. Everything you need is within you. If you need a best friend, I have a best friend, myself. There's a part of me that acts like my best friend. There's a part of me that acts like my brother, my sister, mother, father. If I need an uncle. You see what I'm saying? You can envision what you could do actually. You could actually, if it helps you, can, because it used to help me, and it still does to some extent. Get down take a notebook, and on each page write down ideal father, or just father, mother, sister, brother, uncle, aunt, best friend, partner. Put down all the traits that you would like from these people. Imagine how you want them to love you, and start giving yourself that love. Start showing yourself the compassion. Start showing yourself the love and the trust. Stop blaming. Get out of the victim mentality. Get out of the lack mentality. Because everything you need is already within you. You just need to get through your mental blocks, which is what I had to do too, and it was a nightmare to do. We'll get into that, I'm sure. And you get through the mental blocks in order to access that. And that's what I really mean when I'm talking about aligning with your highest self. Aligning with the divinity within you, with the realization the universe is actually within you. You just need to access it. And that's what this is about. I have accessed the universe within me, and I'm trying to share the process of what I went through so that you can do the same thing. Because through that, you achieve peace, happiness. You heal from all the trauma. Because we live in a horrible world right now. We live in a horrible, horrible world where people do horrible things to each other. You may have done horrible things to each other too, because you were not healed. Unhealed people hurt people, or hurt people hurt people. I used to do this too. But you need to face that. Take accountability. Understand why you did that. Look back at yesterday's episode. I talk about every step you need to do, the shadow work you need to do. Recognize, take accountability. Understand, forgive yourself, integrate, turn the pain into power, alchemize the pain. So, and make sure that in the future you use that knowledge not to hurt people, to help people, because by doing this, you are raising the collective consciousness, which is my goal. That's why I came here. I came here with a divine mission to raise the collective consciousness of humankind. And that's why I had to go through all those horrible human experiences, so that I can turn all that pain into power and knowledge that I'm now using to help raise the consciousness of others who are on the same journey. I hope that helped. Do the inner child, when you're ready, do the inner child meditation. Do the somatic therapy as often as necessary if you feel that trauma. Watch yesterday's episode on shadow work, because that is crucial, because without doing shadow work, no point in anything. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Until next time. All right.